Hey guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. Any format we want it to be.
Just hang out, chat.
Sure, we want to chat about.
Right. This and that, Ldmos.
Yeah, but I haven't sat around and chatted about radio in 30, 40 minutes, 10 minutes. Holy smokes. What do you got around here for a good, decent restaurant? Jump in the captain control seat, man.
Let's do it. For a good restaurant. That's hard. There ain't nothing quick. So what are you thinking? What are we doing? It's an adapter.
It's an adapter to an adapter.
Yeah.
It's a 220 outlet to a... Never mind. Oh, so...
Hey, half my crap is put together with other crap I had lying around.
That's the way it always works. Boys and girls, I think you guys have all seen this workbench at one point or another. I'd maybe reckon. What'd you think there, Sharky?
I don't know, man. I only got 1,000 followers, but they're a really decent set of followers.
Yeah, you got the good followers.
Yeah. I feel like I got the good group of folks. There's only like one guy in there that consistently gives me a hard time. Yeah.
See, you're supposed to pretend like you're me now. They all claim he doesn't leave his comments on because he's afraid of criticism. No, I get tired of trying to respond to one more digital platform as somebody asking me questions.
Yeah, definitely. I am the laziest person when it comes to answering comments. It just dings on my phone all the time, and eventually it just gets swiped, and I'm like, nope, I'm working.
Not playing today.
No,
same thing here.
I'm taking a piss right now. Nope, it's not.
So this is the infamous workbench.
Yes, it is. It's changed a lot.
I gotta ask you, how does it feel to be anointed by God?
Makes me feel like a savior, man.
It's a good way to spin that.
I was actually kind of peeved when he did that. I was like, damn it, dude. I just got used to Sharky. Now this one's gonna stick, and there's nothing I can do about it.
So everybody else that doesn't know what we're talking about, Prime Minister himself got skip conditions coming down here to California, Northern California, and he graced everybody with his audio presence, and one of the people that was able to get in his receive was you, right?
Yep.
And he proceeded to give you the nickname of...
the Savior. And I assume that's of Ldmos.
Yes.
I assume that's what he was talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, man, he had conditions right to my front door. I'm a little mud duck station out here, but yeah. His big old hammer came down and took out the whole city, but I made it back somehow.
The problem that we have, boys and girls that are going to watch this, is that until now there wasn't a very well constructed pallet design that was commercially available to the universe for consumption. Would you say that is a fair statement?
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair statement. Really, the only option that I was able to find is the $900 pallet that's out there by NXP, and it's a great pallet, man. But it's
Prime's design, though.
That's what you told me.
Yeah.
When you told me that, that's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, and then you look at it and you're like, oh. You see all his fingerprints all over it. The way the board's laid out, the transformers. Yeah, he won a couple of those competitions just teaching himself.
Right.
Over the years, yeah.
The only Prime pallet I've ever seen is one picture that what's his Yellow Jacket. I was chatting with Yellow Jacket about Ldmos. We were just having a casual conversation, and he sent me over the pictures of it, and I couldn't really see much. It was just like the top of the palette is really all I could see, and that's all I've ever seen of Prime's work aside from the skull crackers that you've had on your channel.
Oh, but I got pictures for you. Oh, I got Gucci pictures you'll draw.
I'm sure you do.
We'll look at it off channel. So you started out. This guy in my mind's a hero. Okay, so you started out. I'm going to burn up my 667, and 2 years later you're building water-cooled Ldmos.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
That's some kind of record, you know that, right? I thought I came up quick. I went from a 2-pill to a 40,000 in 5 years, but yeah, I'm impressed. We're all sitting back, those of us that know anything about anything, we're going, shit, boy, I got motivated.
Yeah, that's for sure. I've been very motivated by this whole radio thing. When I first got into radio, it was because I wanted a megaphone in my truck so I could yell at the cars in front of me. And I looked into all the ways of doing it, hooking up a microphone and a little power amplifier and a little mega horn, and I ended up getting a CB radio. And once that was in the truck, I was like, oh, I might as well put in an antenna. And then I was like, okay, now I need an SWR meter. And then I was like, okay, now I'm not getting out. Now I need an amplifier. So I went out and bought a bunch of junk amplifiers, and I was like, I'll fix these, man. I'm good with electronics. Well, that didn't work out. So from there, it snowballed into a year-long learning process about everything amplifier and radio related. Like it was a mind-boggling venture to go from just digital electronics like Arduino, house wiring, industrial wiring, three-phase and stuff like that. That was the basis of my knowledge. But going from there to RF was like a huge step. And there's resources out there, but it's
slim pickings.
Yeah, when I stumbled across your videos, I probably wouldn't have had a chance of getting to where I am without seeing your videos, because your videos are like a repository of knowledge in prior art in the 27 megahertz radio amplifier category. There's nothing else like it out there, and just being able to see the stuff that you've worked on is like standing on the shoulders of giants, absorbing all that information and taking it and being able to apply it to whatever gizmo I happen to be working on. And Ldmos specifically, there wasn't a whole lot of knowledge, so I kind of had to figure things out. And getting that little NXP reference palette, that was a big step, because it showed me an example of a good working design. And I spent a lot of time playing with that and experimenting and just trying to figure out what the different pieces did. And eventually I came to a good understanding, but there's always more to learn.
Always more to learn.
Always.
No, I was surprised that you jumped right over the 2879 product styles and went directly to Ldmos. Tell me your logic with that, because I thought that was cute. I mean, first you started working on that 667, you got that figured out like in a second, and then you're like, Bink, okay, this is gay, I'm going on to other things.
I don't know, I guess I just picked a mountain and started climbing it. When I first got into Ldmos, I didn't sit there and figure out the cost of performance-wise or the dollar per watt.
Well, I sure did.
Yeah.
That's my main motivation to do an Ldmos was.
Oh, no doubt. And in hindsight, Ldmos is certainly not the cheapest dollar per watt, or the best dollar per watt. Yeah, I don't know. It started because I got the RF Man palette, RF Man, and I couldn't get the thing to work, and he couldn't help me get the thing to work.
We got it working though.
Yeah. So when I got fed up with that situation, I sent it over to you.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it was like 6 months or something before you got around to it. But by the time you got around to making a video, I'd been tinkering over here nonstop, like a crackhead, trying to get it working for myself. And about that time, I had my own working design, or the basis of it. And you made that video, and I was like, damn it, man. If I just waited a little bit longer, I probably could have figured that out. Probably could have gave it an honest shot anyway.
I had a lot of help in the Ldmos department, and a lot of help in the 2879 department, a lot of help in the tube department, and your statement of being able to stand on the shoulder of giants is the only reason I get to be here, is because there's a lot of people that are willing to be kind enough to teach me anything. When I first come along, nobody wanted to share knowledge, nobody wanted to teach anything, and I think it's really neat to see how the channel's morphed. It's changed a lot, like a lot. So do you got your first couple iterations laying around here someplace?
Yeah, I probably do.
How about we grab a couple of them and we'll show step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4.
Let me see what
Okay, so when I came along, first thing I did is I went out and I bought a 9-to-1 by 5 pallet and made it run. And monobended it down for the most part for 11 meters. So, changed some caps in it. And right underneath the 9-to-1 pallet, the only pallet that we could get at that time that was commercially sold was a Russian pallet, right? And so I went in there and I very quickly figured out that the surface mount capacitors he used are woefully inadequate for the situation. So yeah. I changed it over to metal clad, and you had to change quite a few things to get it to run stably for the 11 meter guys, right? Or the 10 meter guys, however you want to look at it. And I only built maybe 30 of them. I mean total, finished product, and I used multiple different pallets. And then I went to the DNR radio guy and had him create a pallet for me, and it was just very hands-off. This is what I wanted to do. This is where I want the capacitors. Assemble this for me. And he produced that, and that's the one that the 4-pill Ldmos box I've got is made out of.
Gotcha.
And I've spent 0 time dicking with it since.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah, I believe you. And I know why.
I got overwhelmed very quickly with doing repairs, but to me, I still follow along with all of this very closely, because I think that there's going to be iterations that come from this in the future that are going to eventually eclipse tubes. Are we there yet? No. Is it in the future? Definitely hard yes. So to see you go from, I'm going to buy somebody else's pallet that doesn't work the way I want it to, I don't really quite understand why, to, okay, I'm going to have my own boards cut, I'm going to start etching things out myself, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing, to the final iteration that's sitting over there. What was your very first getting your toe wet in the water? Where did it start?
Probably, well, my first introduction to Ldmos had to be on your channel somewhere. And after that, I just got on the Googler and started looking at different designs. And I ran into a bunch of the broadcast stuff. But eventually I stumbled onto RF Man's palette and thought about it for a while. And like I said, I got that one, couldn't get it to work, so I went on to do my own stuff. And yeah, you can see most of the history of what I did with Ldmos here on the table. Each one of these pallets has been put together and torn apart in so many different variations, just trying and experimenting with things. And
so is this the technician disclaimer that we all have when we're showing off our prototype work? Most guys would never even have enough balls to do this. Oh no, I knew it right out the hop. My PhD, MDA, BS bullshit degree I got allowed me to be perfect at all times. The argument from authority that we both know who that comes from.
Right.
They'd never show that they had to sit here for hours and hours and hours pulling parts off and putting parts on. And did you hand cut those boards, dude?
Yeah, the first few I did. They actually worked okay. They weren't fantastic, but they were building blocks to get me to where I needed to go. If you build one pallet, you can hand cut it and get it to work.
But it's not right.
But it's not going to be flawless. There might be some inconsistencies from one transistor to the other. But it gets you close. And
that was $1,000+ lesson for me.
Oh.
Because I was cutting my own boards. That's the reason I had DNR build my pallet and my design and gave it to them, was because you can sit there with a Dremel. It's not like a 2879. It's not. Everything has to be exactly the same, because your traces make the inductors of the trace surface area all has to be computed in. The capacitance of everything has to be computed in. The thickness of the board on the the fiberglass has to be all taken into account, because that's capacitance, because it's going to sit right next to your ground.
Right.
You're going to be conducting RF on it, so therefore that proximity has to be calculated in for these devices to get them to work perfect. At least that's what I've noticed. Maybe
to get them to work perfect, I didn't go through any of that. I didn't calculate a damn thing. Really? To be perfectly honest with you, as far as the circuit board, I might have calculated the power trace to make sure it was going to handle the current, things like that. The way that I came to where I'm at now is by seeing the NXP reference palette.
Okay.
As far as capacitance goes, board thickness goes, there are some pretty significant differences between this and that. And most of those differences are because it's a different dielectric. This is some special Teflon board that's what do they call it? It's bonded to the copper heat spreader. And it has a very different dielectric constant than this does. And some of my trace lengths changed and a few things here and there. So this is by no means a direct copy of this electrically. The way that I came to what I got is just by taking something similar to this, drawing it up on a PCB, and kind of making some changes where I wanted them, power wire locations, different sizes of transformers and such. And when I had that PCB printed, I slapped everything onto the pallet except for the transistor. And at that point I was able to try different capacitors, different lengths of wire in the transformer, different transformer types, different feed types, and measure the drain impedance. So that was probably one of the most defining moments I've ever had in radio, is understanding impedance measurements and how they can affect your amplifier and its performance. And it's by no means the answer to everything, but it'll get you very close. Once I understood that number on the data sheet, that drain impedance number, will get you almost a working amplifier. Just by nailing that one number, your amplifier will work to some extent. Once I understood that, it wasn't too bad. It was just a matter of tuning different capacitors and changing wire lengths to get that number close. And from that number getting close, then I could kind of whittle it down a little bit by trying things that are close to that and seeing what the response is. And yeah, I didn't calculate anything really, and there's some downsides to doing that. I certainly could have saved some parts. So if I had designed the PCB differently, I probably could have changed the capacitor values to something that's either cheaper or used less capacitors. I could have built some of that capacitance and that impedance transformation into the board itself, but I don't have the software to do that. I don't have software to calculate the PCB, so I'm just over here winging it.
I got to give you credit. You took on a subject in a video. I kind of was passively watching, but then the day that you decided to try on explain Smith charting and then your actual swamping capacitor across the output of the transformer, I was like, man, he's brave. He's brave. You went out there and you very methodically, patiently, kindly, not arrogantly explained how that worked. And I went, that took me forever to understand, because there's no reference for that hardly anywhere.
Right.
And then you put it in such a way that it was easy for people to understand. I was like, man, I got to pay attention to this young man. He's moving right along. And here we are today, not even a year later.
Right.
Can you believe I'm sitting in your house with you right now?
I'm more enjoying it than anything, because it's like we're both I'm not, I don't know, man. I've had weird crap happen in my life, so nothing surprises me too much anymore. But I'm definitely happy to have you here. It's nice to have someone that I can relate to with my hobbies and stuff. It's good to have you. That's like the primary.
I was like, whoa, man! Finally, I got somebody I can talk to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just good to have you here. That's like the most overwhelming feeling at the moment.
Show us board number one. Let's walk us through the process iteration from this to that to this. What were you teaching yourself? Oof. Roughly, very roughly, because I know there's going to be a lot of changes from A to B to C to D.
Yeah, and I mean, it starts with a shot in the dark, to be honest. My first board was a shot in the dark. Whew. That is this one here.
Proud of you. You cut that by hand and the lines are relatively straight. You should see some should see some of the shit that comes by shot. I'm like, Jesus, did the guy have Tourette's or something? What's going on? I mean, did he have was his hand shaking as he was running the drill down the board, but
right.
That actually looks, for the first shot, that's really good. That's really good for your first attempt.
It's certainly not the first PCB I ever hand cut, but as far as Ldmos pallets go, this is one of my first attempts. And once I got fed up with the pallets that I bought, I went on and I was like, you know what, screw it. I got these transistors, I can't get them to work over here, so maybe I'll Dremel something and experiment and learn something from it. And I did. To be honest, I tried a lot of really dumb things. In hindsight, I tried a lot of really dumb things on this pallet. I tried putting capacitors where there never should have been. I tried putting power wires where there never should have been. And this was really like a trial and error thing. And I learned a few things. You don't know until you know. Exactly. You don't know until you know.
And sometimes you got to break some shit to get there. That's all bottom line.
Right.
Yeah. Welcome to the saga of my life. I broke a lot of freaking MOSFETs, bud.
Yeah.
A lot.
Let's put those on the table. Let's put my little
Oh yeah, your little collection of like 10.
my little baby collection.
Yeah,
that's my little baby collection. And then I got a piece of coax in there that that was my mistake.
Oops.
That was my boo-boo. Bad job putting the coax together, and it led to the death of one of those in there.
And what sucks is probably half of those transistors, only half of them's bad.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so you're like, thinking, man, if I built a pallet to where I could make it so that I could put this transistor and this transistor, I'd be good to go. I mean, I got drawers full of. Did you ever see that one video where I dropped like all 40 or 50 of my broken transistors out there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was like, man, this is a lot of work. You guys don't understand. This is killing me over here financially to figure this out and make it work.
Oh, yeah. My heart sank.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this first pallet, that was just an experiment. I just threw it together and saw what it could do. And I actually, at one point, got some decent results. I think I had a BLF in there, and I got like 1,200, 1,300 watts out of it. And I was like, what did I do? Because it's working. And that actually kind of gave me a little glimmer of hope. Because at that point, I had been struggling for months to get everything working. And when that happened, I just went down the rabbit hole, man. I knew it was possible at that point, and I spent hours and hours, man. I slacked off at work and read books and designed PCBs and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, and for the record, he owns his own business, so therefore no one was really going to get him in trouble but him.
Yeah. I feel bad half the time, though. I'm like, man, should I really be doing this, or should I be making some money? But it keeps me sane. So after that, I moved on and tried again after reading a bunch, and I learned a few things from that one, and eventually I came across the idea of measuring the impedance. And like I said, that's when it completely opened up for me. And I think I learned that somewhere working on this pallet. And you can see I've got some capacitors in there from way back when, and I was experimenting by measuring the drain impedance with this SMA connector. And once I learned how to do that, I matched it to the data sheet. I figured out some stuff, and I put some capacitors on there, and I got it to match the data sheet, and boom, it worked. And it was actually doing close to what the data sheet told me it was supposed to be doing. But of course, then there was other issues like oscillation and capacitors overheating and stuff like that, and yeah, kind of just kept going from there.
Let's jump to this board, and let's talk about those metal clad caps you have on there. Did you ever have a breakdown or failure issue with those? And what I'm specifically talking about, you guys, is this here. These caps right here.
I have not had a failure of the metal clads in that location. They do, however, get very, very hot. Mm-hmm. Those metal clads in that location will get hot enough to melt the solder.
Mm-hmm. In a non-circulated closed air environment.
Right. If you put a strong fan on them, they'd be fine.
Yeah.
But if you just set it on the table and let them cook, they will get hot enough to melt the solder. I have had a failure with the metal clads going from, let's see if we can get this in the shot, in this location here. So if you see the surface mount capacitor is going from the output of the transformer to ground. And when you're running this pallet at full tilt, it's about 2 kilowatts, and I think that's close to 500 volts peak. And I've had the metal clads arc. And I don't know if that's because
Inside.
I was, yeah, internally.
Or you can't see it, yeah.
Yeah. You just see a little burn mark, you know? And that's the only location I've ever had. That's the only time I've ever had a metal clad fail, is when you arc it. You know, it'll unsolder itself and fall off the board before it melts or anything.
God, when I built my first 2-pill, the one that's currently on the air right now that I've been using for 5 or 6 years now, I didn't understand that or anything to do with the breakdown voltage of those metal clads. I just thought, man, these things are indestructible. And I had them sitting up here on the transformer. I'm just sitting there talking away, and all of a sudden, bloop, power fell like by half. Oh man, I popped a transistor, you know. And I go in there. No, the caps got so hot they just soldered themselves and fell off. So instead of modifying a cap, what I do, I modified all the airflow so I get more direct air cooling right on them.
Right.
You know, I gotta get back out the air, man. It skips rolling. I gotta go, you know. But, okay. So then you can't help but notice you got a completely different size core here You're using, I'm assuming those are 61s, right?
Yeah, these two bigger ones up here are 61s, and these are 67s. So the good thing that I found about the 67s is they stay very cold. They don't have a whole lot of that magnetic heating effect going on. But they're more expensive, and like over here on my newer revisions, I've got the Type 61s. They do get hot. They definitely get hotter, but with proper airflow, it's not an issue, and they're significantly cheaper. They work just as good, make just as much power. So I kind of went away from that. My 4-pill water-cooled Ldmos box had these Type 67 cores in it, and after I built that box, I just took the design that I had at that point that was perfect and it was working, and I slapped it into the air-cooled box. And then after I built that box, I went back and revised and tried to optimize a little bit. And one of the reasons I did that is because I wanted to offer the kit for sale so that people could, go through the same learning experience as I did, but without as many speed bumps. And that was one way to make it cheaper.
You mean full stoppages, not speed bumps. Most of the stuff that you run into, I'm not going to lie to you, would literally stop the home gamer dead in their tracks. It'd be like, no, and throw it in the trash and then talk garbage about it forever.
Right.
And you just went, no, I see there's a future here, and you kept pushing forward. I don't think you quite really recognize how rare that is that you can find somebody that's like, okay, instead of getting frustrated with it, you kept going forward and you wanted to continue teaching yourself. That's hard to find, man. Really hard to find.
I believe it.
Because believe me, we're always looking because we need more people like you in the community, period. So I would not say it, oh, road bumps. No, you flat out hit brick walls and you just climbed over the top and kept on chucking.
Yeah. I'm laughing about it in hindsight. It sucked.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah.
It sucked.
When I look at my drawer of MOSFETs, I'm going, well, yeah, but you learn from all of that. So, was this your first water-cooled block?
I don't know which one's the first, but that would probably be it. That's probably it because it's thicker than the rest. Yeah, that's probably the first water-cooled block.
So you didn't buy any of that commercially off the shelf. You had somebody cut that to your own design plan, correct?
No, I designed it and made it myself. My business is machining related, and I have access to a fairly well-stocked machine shop. And I've been programming and CNCing and doing all that good stuff for, I don't know, probably since I was 18 years old.
Yeah, I forget to mention he's like wicked freaking smart, this guy. Yeah. So, I built a copper box here a couple months ago at the beginning of the year, and you've got a lot of experience working with copper, and you were laughing at me, like hardcore laughing at me, because I'm like, man, copper sucks, I hate doing this by hand. You're like, well, you know what, the proper machining tools, it's like working with butter. And I'm like, man, F you, dude. You know, what the hell are you talking about, man? I'm snapping screws off and heat sink and stuff, and oh, that sucked. It sucked. But you were like, please.
Yeah, no. Hey,
you were laughing at me hard on the phone. I could hear you.
I was laughing. I was like, dude, copper's butter, okay? Come talk to me when you work with Inconel or something. Oh, but no. Hey, machining? Working with metal?
Hey, man, they built the X15 out of Inconel X. Come on.
Yeah.
That's so easy. What are you talking about?
Oh, dude, the learning curve for machining is harder than most other learning curves combined. Like, it takes years and years of experience just in all the screw-ups, the same as working with radio. It's a commitment if you want to learn how to machine stuff.
So radio found, through its weirdness and its tendrils of the hobby, found a guy that's got a full-up machine shop and a lot of machining experience. And that's, I can't tell you, that's probably saved you probably about 300 house payments and being able to try and outsource that for somebody else.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, getting stuff made in China is actually cheaper than doing it yourself now, so I probably could have sent that off to China and had it made, but most people don't know how to do that.
For the record, the heat sinks that went into the all-copper amplifier I bought from this guy, and he had them skeeved in India, correct? Or was it China?
I don't know where it was. It was probably China.
Really?
Yeah, it was an American company that outsources their work, their engineering and their work over to China.
Do you have any idea how hard it is to find video that is not copyright claimed of the skeeving process on the internet?
I do not.
That was a day-and-a-half effort just to find that little 5-second clip for my video with those heat sinks, because everything else is copyrighted or got a trademark in it.
Yeah, that is a unique process. There's not a lot of video on it in general.
I think it's neat how they take the giant knife and they just push it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Metalworking stuff like that's awesome. Well, he's pulling out the copper heatsink.
Sex in a brick right there to me.
Yeah.
So
that's the big dollars.
How did we get from all of this to over here?
Evolution, man. Trying to make it better, trying to make it more affordable, trying to make it prettier, trying to make it more consistent. After I got past my water-cooled 4-transistor box, I knew that I wanted to make a kit. And there's a lot of things that I had to do to make it practical for somebody else to put it together. And first I had to label everything, so I had to put silk screening on the board and all that good stuff, but I also wanted to make it, you know, a little more affordable, so I changed up the transformer design and went back to this one, because it does end up being cheaper to have that transformer and not have the type of choke that's on this unit. This one actually works out to be more harmonically pure, so it was kind of a win-win to go back to that design. I mean, this here is about the same as what's in my water-cooled box, performance-wise, heat generation, efficiency, harmonic output. It's fairly similar, but it's a little bit more optimized in a few different ways. The attenuation resistors that are on this board are slightly different from what's in my water-cooled box. But yeah, just little tiny subtle changes. Getting the gold-plated circuit board, getting the silk screening on there. Yeah, it's just a refinement. Oh, this one's also got the low pass filter. On my previous ones that didn't have that. That was a separate PCB. And I did that so that if somebody wants to run a single one of these pallets, it's going to be harmonically clean to a very high level of standard. And obviously in the 11 meter crowd, very few people care about that. But for those of you that do, that option is available. If for some reason you don't want the low pass filter, just chop it off the PCB and have fun.
What do you think the overall frequency response of that pallet would be? Would it be feasible to tweak it up to 10 meters, down to 12 meters? Where else do you think that with some capacitance added you could change the pallet enough to be able to make it somewhat resonate cleanly? What do you think the actual spectrum cover would be? Because right now it's a mono frequency pallet.
Mm-hmm.
Mono band, I guess would be the best way to put it, right?
Yeah. Somebody hit me up on Facebook a couple of days ago about that. I don't know. I've had a bunch of people hit me up.
I've had a ton of people hit you up. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, the guy was asking me, can I run this on 27.7 megahertz? And my first question was, are you south of the border or something? And he says, yeah, I talk to Mexico all the time. So, hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, hi, little. No, I don't know. She was trying to do an open casting call. I don't know what the deal was there, but I got to tell you, you just got to walk around with a 4K camera and a tripod apparently in California, and you're going to get propositioned by women to do videos.
Right.
So back to topic here.
What were we talking about?
I don't know.
My kid popped in here and
the puppy dog come in too.
Yeah, my dog came in and he was a bull in the china shop, so we had to take him back to his mama. What were we talking about?
So, I noticed you got the 1-to-1 harmonic filter on the back end of that thing. Oh, we were talking about frequency response resonance.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, took me a second to get back there myself.
So a gentleman hit me up a few days ago, and I haven't experimented with how wide the frequency range is on it. And just this morning, I came in here and tried it from 25 to 30, and it was a very reasonable power output, harmonic level. Everything was really decent from 25 to 30 megahertz. And I wasn't really expecting that, but in hindsight, it doesn't surprise me too much. It seems like the power rolls off a bit as you go higher in frequency, and it actually increases as you go lower in frequency. So down at 25 megahertz with 10 watts of drive, I was getting about 2200 watts. Up at 30 megahertz, I was getting 1800 watts with 10 watts of input drive. Beyond that, it's probably not going to be a great performer. Efficiency might roll off, but I haven't really gone that far out, so I can't say. I haven't gone past 30.
I'm telling you, man, if you put together a pallet design that'll work on 80 and 40 meters, you can retire your other business. It's no joke. It's constantly receiving phone calls wanting people to know Is there anything different other than a tube they can buy, that they can build themselves?
Really?
Let me totally reiterate this very clearly and make this unbelievably, unquestionably clear. We're not selling completed pallets, we're selling kits, right?
Yes, sir.
And what I mean by kits is completely disassembled. You're going to have to understand how to use a soldering iron kit. Correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
You got to throw that in there for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
A lot of different reasons.
Yeah. The big reason for doing that is because I don't have time to do it, but I'm also a hobbyist and I appreciate, you know, learning the skills it takes to put things together. And I hope other people do too. I'm sure I could sell 1 billion of them if I sat here and slave labored them all together, but it's no time.
In this business, you don't want to sell it completed.
Yeah. Because if they blow it up, then they come back and, yeah.
No, you let's not follow in the footprints of others. Let's make sure to sidestep that little pedal of pain.
Yeah.
Just stick to not selling completed components.
Right.
Period. You know, this is a kit, this is what it is, and this is how it's put together. That is why I'm here now.
Capacitor and the inductor change the impedance on the line to match it up.
He just told me his next video is going to be on explaining this technology and why it is so important to understand. And all I could do was make a joke about the little tiny resistor that's on it, that it doesn't take much, but it still has to have that resistance present. And then we made a comment about the 5-watt resistor and the never-ending saga that goes along with that. And I'm never going to stop just because everybody sits around and talks about it. It does prove a point. It generates more smoke, so therefore the operator can smell it and know it's time to stop keying the box.
Yep, yep.
And it's the only thing that protects the circuit or gives it an opportunity to suck up imbalance as it goes farther down the chain. Right
Indeed.
there. But you'd be amazed how many opinions are open or not open or have or had to be had about that particular one very simple circuit. Agreed?
Yeah. I mean, the science is really simple, but there's a bunch of arguments you can have and make to no end.
Science is simple. It makes more smoke so the dummies can smell it when they burn their shit up.
Yeah. Either the resistor's big enough to handle a complete imbalance, or it isn't.
So the combination and splitting of this RF with these parts was pushed to another level in my world, and that is groundbreaking. At least when we finally figured out how to make this work for me and Prime and everybody else, we started dicking around with this. When you come up to my place, which I really like to see you do sometime this summer, after you get yourself settled with the other thing you got going on,
Right.
I'll literally show you a giant bag of different size inductors, different turn ratios, different Henry. I mean, I changed everything on here. I'm looking for the mystical voodoo. Man, I can make this work with 2 turns, and it does the same job. I can make it work with 1 turn, but it works best with 4.
I never worried about the
discuss
turn
that.
ratio. I always worried about the amount of nanohenries we're talking about.
We'll discuss that another day.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you got on your on the bench, the Savior's bench. Jesus Christ Superstar, the Savior of Ldmos. That's what I was calling you on the radio the other night.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody got it. They're like, "What the hell is he talking about?"
What's he talking about? Hey, I'm still MudDuckSharky, man. I'm still the Mud Duck. Mud Duck at heart.
So when you buy the kit from Sharky, this is what you're going to receive in return. Walk us through the parts.
Yeah, absolutely. So the kit doesn't come assembled at all. There's very little that's going to be assembled when you get the kit. Most of it's up to you. You got to mount it to your heatsink. You got to put it in a chassis. You got to solder all the pieces and parts in. But everything you need is here to complete the pallet. And to run it on a bench setup like this, really all you need is your own heatsink and a few connectors to get the power in and out of it. Comes with just about everything you need except for the heatsink. We got the transformer, got a bunch of capacitors, all different sizes, and they're all marked. And I have an assembly video that walks you through every single step of the process so you have a reference in case you think you might have messed something
So
up.
it's a private video you have, I'm assuming, that you hand out to the customer, correct?
No, it's a public video.
How did I miss that?
I don't know. Well,
Does it come out in the last month or so?
I couldn't. I don't know. Time
Because
flies.
this last month I've had my head completely down for this entire trip, and that's all I've worked on is stuff for orientated with the trip. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, as you were going.
Yeah. I don't know when it came out, but it doesn't surprise me you missed it. Algorithm and all. But yeah, we got a
Not
bag
my
of
bell.
capacitors.
I smashed your bell a long time ago. I get a notification, so
Really?
maybe it was just my brain not processing. Anyhow, go ahead. Sorry.
Bag of capacitors, bag of resistors. Got some miscellaneous stuff in here. Voltage regulator IC, ferrite core, potentiometers and LEDs, that sort of thing. The kit comes with 2 different sets of hardware, and the reason that it comes with 2 different sets is because some people like metric and some people don't. And I appreciate both. I do not discriminate. Most of the heat spreader connections are all in metric, so there's screws for that, but if you want to use standard taps and dies to mount the kit to your heatsink, you can do that as well. It's got all the hardware for it. In order to get the kit mounted up to a heatsink, the kit comes with a drilling template. So what you can do is you can mount this down or clamp it down to your heatsink, and you can mark all the hole locations and drill them in place. Or take a center punch them into your heatsink, pull it off of there, drill them and tap them, and off you go. The kit comes with the 2 PCBs that you see over here, and most of the stuff is silk screened on here. So the resistors, transistors, ferrite core, everything's pretty well marked, so you know where most components go. There are some things that are not marked, and that's the purpose of the video. So when you get this whole kit, it comes with a sheet of paper that has a data sheet. Actually, I can't believe I don't have one of those here, but I print them at my office. And on that data sheet is a whole list of where all the parts go. It's got links to the videos. It's got data on efficiency and performance, and a bunch of other cool stuff, little notes on what to do and what not to do. Definitely worth giving that a read. That's available on my videos about this kit, so if you go to my channel and see those videos, down in the description you can access the data sheet. There's a lot of relevant information to this kit about how to assemble it, and what voltages you should and shouldn't run at, all that good stuff. But yeah, there's not much on the table here, but once it's all assembled, it takes about a half an hour for me. I got pretty good at it. For somebody that's new, maybe an hour and a half, you get something like this. Now this here is the water-cooled kit. There are 2 different versions of the kit. This one right here on the table is the air-cooled kit. It comes with this heat spreader so that you can mount that to your heatsink and go to town with it. The water-cooled kit is a little bit different. All of the circuitry and the PCB are the same, except this one comes with a water block. I don't have one of those handy, but maybe we'll pop that in later in the video because it's pretty neat to look at. What else does the kit come with? Oh yeah, got a couple of pieces. It also comes with a couple of pre-wound inductor coils. So this one here is for your low-pass filter, and this one here is part of the DC choke. And those are all pre-wound, and you can tune the low-pass filter if you want, but dropping this in gets it nailed pretty much every time. But yeah, if you have a soldering iron and a little bit of time on your hands, you can put this kit together and have an Ldmos kit on your bench running and go into town with it and arcing and sparking if you want to risk your FET there.
And don't be scared. Cut that coax.
Yeah, cut
I've
that
only done
coax.
it in a couple videos. Just cut the coax and then short it out with a screwdriver for 3 hours. No, don't do that, by the way. Don't. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, no doubt. For sure.
This is the best kit on the market. Hands down.
I think it's the only kit on the market
Well,
that's complete anyway.
complete. Yeah. With actual instructions that have replicable results. Like we can recreate those results over and over and over again. The other guy in the market, his results are not replicable. We can't recreate them in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And we've tried multiple different palettes. So, yeah. So, I got a bunch of those sitting in my house I got to go through. I've probably got 3 or 4 dozen that are sitting there that I've got to go through.
Every time we talk, I think the pile grows a few because every time you
I
told me
don't
how
turn
many you
anybody's
have,
down.
the
I don't turn
number.
anybody's down. That's the only thing I'm currently taking on is trying to get his pallets to where the customer's not getting screwed. That makes sense?
Oh yeah, makes sense.
And I'm sorry, I'm not taking on any more tube equipment. I'm not taking on any more transistor equipment other than Ldmos pallets that are by one person that wrong needs to be fixed, made right.
Indeed.
So, and in a way, I'm grateful for him doing wrong because now we have you. Make sense?
It does. If that didn't happen to me, I would never would have made my own pallet. I would have just gone off with what I had and been a happy camper. Well, but here we are.
So that is a complete kit. That's what I'm walking out of the door here today with.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And yeah, you guys heard me right. I'm walking out the door with it in my hands. Why? Because I'm going to go home and I'm going to build it myself. Then I'm going to put a BBI sticker on it and send it back to you unless you sell it. I don't need it for nothing. But
oh, the BBI sticker, man. That's like,
ooh,
that doubles the price right there.
It makes it worth $2 more. And, yeah, maybe a hand job in Tijuana or something. But, no, as I was telling you at dinner the other night, I will get behind anybody that I see that, one, isn't an arrogant prick, two, is more interested in trying to help other people learn and teach and produce a product that's legit. I'll stand behind them 100%. That's the reason I'm sitting here at the moment with you. It's because I've seen you go from how does a 2-pill work to let's build multi-pallet Ldmos boxes. And it really made me smile when you built that one over there with the 50-volt up switch scalers in it. That made me, I was like, finally I got somebody else that's on that page with me. I sat there by myself for 4.5 years. And I mean, you went the hard way too. I mean, dude, I tried the little switch pallets that you used, and I was like, garbage, next, garbage, next, garbage, next. You could have built that whole thing in like 3 hours.
Probably so.
You were able to find those boost supplies that I turned you on to. You just drop them in, pull them on, put a little thermal paste on them, and you're done.
Right.
And that was another $3,000 or $4,000 experiment. The goal with that, when I originally started out, was that I knew that I could get a lot better performance out of a 50-volt component versus the 12-volt component. And at the time, we didn't have the HG transistors that we all get to have today. They were still being created, and we had these really garbage DEI components, and then we still had Toshibas. But the Toshiba price was so high, to get a 1,000-watt box with Toshibas made it so that you could get, just 50-volt bipolars was cheaper. And so my goal was to have a 2-pill, which I still have. I built a couple of them. The 2-pill box that you could plug into dash nuts and then upscale the voltage in a semi and just go play. Have a 1,000-watt box. So that's what led me down that path. So then when I finally got to the Ldmos page of the business, it was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. I already know how to make 50 volts in the mobile and not do it with an alternator and with 4 batteries and all this extra weight. So one hand fed into the next hand. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Well, brother, you got anything else you want to change, talk about, address, think about, cover, talk about why I'm here with you?
No, not in particular. I just figured we'd sit down and chat about some stuff and go from there. But thank you for coming.
Yeah. Thank you for having me over.
It's been a pleasure to meet you. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope we can do it again one of these days.
On that note, here So I'm home. Look at this. Beautiful. I'm a little bit unpacked. I got my screwdrivers out. Don't have all my soldering irons put away yet. But I'm home. And I'm really excited to start on this pallet that I just brought home from Sharky's. And, oh, dude, that's a brilliant... God dang it. Hold on. Let me make a phone call. So you're saying you're down with that? Okay. Let me pack everything up, and I will see you tomorrow at noon. All right, bro. Bye. I think I need to go on another road trip.
I'll move this out of there. This is mine, right? Put this in my pocket.
That's
That's-
what's this guy's stuff? Yeah.
That's, never mind. This is yours, or is this mine?
No, that's yours.
Okay. Okay. So
My
that's
scan,
yours?
my scan disc, dick.
All
My
right.
scan dick looks completely different than your scan dick.
All right. All right.
So I'm a little bit farther north than Sacramento now. Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. I'm in Denver.
Oh,
So you went east.
we're Mile High. We're hanging out
Yeah.
with the 420 boys.
Yeah. Oh, do so.
So if you get this pallet in the mail, that's
What
the way
is
it
that,
shows
man?
up.
What is
Well,
that?
I was hanging with this guy MudDuckSharky the other day.
No. It's
Yeah.
not. His name is not MudDuckSharky.
Well, that's how he refers to himself, Mr.
His
Sharky
name
himself.
is the Savior. Yes. He walks around in sandals and a white robe, and he delivers the goods. You see that? These are the goods. You do bad things with good stuff. So this is how it sells?
Yeah.
That's how it shows up?
He literally threw. I was like, dude, you didn't need to even bother throwing everything in a bag. Look
What's
at
in
that.
here? What is
Open
this?
it up. Find out.
What is this?
No, this would normally come in a box and all professionally packed, but
Yeah. It's a
at
nice
least you
middle
can
fin-
fit your finger in there.
middle finger ring. That's nice. I like
I don't
that.
even think I can get my finger in there. Let's see here.
You got fatter fingers than me, bro.
Can't get it over the knuckle.
There you go. All right, so
Just assist the tip. All we're doing is putting in the tip.
we got a couple of coils.
Got the inductors. So you know what that is. That's part of the output network.
Both of them seem like the other one's input. Maybe you're right.
The other one's an inductor coil for the 50 volt, yeah.
Yeah, could be. Yep.
I thought
Could
you'd
be.
particularly admire these.
All
I
right,
had to
so-
show you this, man.
So these are the Sharky transformers. Does he make his own? Can I open this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
Because I got to rip it to open it, dude. He kind of put some heat
Well, it's
on it.
professional.
It's professional.
Professional.
Now,
You should see the video I got of him putting the transistor on. You're going to love it.
all right. So that right there is a MudDuckSharky transformer.
Savior. It's a savior.
Yeah, the Savior.
Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Savior Saint.
And he's set tripping. That's why he got red right here. He's set tripping. Sacktown. Now this is right here. Well, I don't want to show this one. This looks horrible.
See, now, why don't you have your stuff embroidered like that?
I'll go get one of mine. We'll edit it in. I want to show you one of mine too, but this is Sharky soup right here, man. All right. So
I really did dig the red mask.
this is his kit. This is his whole kit, right?
Yeah. It's a whole kit, template and everything. This
Whole
is for
kit. So when you guys order it, this is what you're gonna get. All right. Where's the input transformer at?
It's in there. All in there. Even the hardware. He's kind enough to send the hardware. And he provides a visual aid video to
Got
show
your
you
little
step by
surface
step.
mount.
Everything.
Got some little look like electrolytic caps in here.
You should see these little tiny copper heat sinks he's got in there for the caps.
Everything in here, by the way, is for the low price of free. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. That's got some weight.
It's big.
Yeah. Yeah, you need more spreader, Shark. If I drop this on my toe, I lose a toenail, man. Damn, bro. All
Yeah,
right.
look at the machining that went into this.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, man.
Like he didn't like just put this together in his garage or nothing.
Now, what's this going to?
That is your template for your heat sink. So you know where to drill and how to do your spacing and everything.
This is DOS for dummies, man. I should have got this. What the hell am I building these things for?
You want to be on the cool bus? I don't know. Wait a minute, you're driving the cool
Bunch of
bus.
resistors. Look like some lock washers or something like that. Some Teflon wire. I believe it. I can always tell with my fingernail. Feels like Teflon to me. Some more screws and looks like, what are these, spacers?
And standoffs.
Yeah, some little spacers and screws.
So that the board can stand off the heat sink. Because when the board mounts down to the spreader, you're going to have a little air gap. Look at these. Look at those.
Yeah, this is the part that I'm kind of jealous on right here, because if you look at that little bastard right there, you see that? I know it's kind of, there we go. You see that little thing? Look like a paintbrush head looking dude. That right there, man, gets rid of some heat on the drains that I could not get out. So I had to throw just more air on them. And that actually pulls some of that heat off of that drain, man. Because trust me when I tell you, right there and right there, ooh, can get hot. And that pulls that off, which is pretty cool. I don't know where he got them from, but I'm jealous.
Well, knowing him, he probably had them made in India someplace, but
So this kit is what, $750?
it's just short of $700, yeah.
Okay, so $750 to me, $700 is nuts. I mean, I can't believe he's selling it that cheap. I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's what I told him too. I was like, no, dude, this is more.
Leave the copper away. This right here is the 65 volt part. If you had to buy the 65 volt part, you're paying $220 for one. For one, you see what I'm saying? And this copper, have y'all checked how much copper costs lately? This is, Sharky, you might have went overkill on this one, bro. This is huge, man. This is like, here, listen to this. Listen. Think about that. I hope I didn't break it, because if I break it, I bought it. Listen to that. Yeah, that's heavy. That's heavy. This right here, I build these. This ain't cheap either. And it got nice. This is dipped, not somebody sitting around with an iron. And if it is, he should be arrested for being so good. But this is beautiful. This is nice.
Look at this. It's got rolled edges and everything. So this has been put in a press and punched over.
Oh, okay.
Look at, isn't that pretty?
See, I just dip mine and chrome them up. Look at this, man. Look at all this stuff. Now, what's this? What did you say this was? Oh, that's just
a template for the heat sink, so you know how to mount the board and the spreader. Yeah.
So this is not the water cooled, is it?
No, this is the air cooled.
This is the air cooled version, which is what most of you guys are going to buy. If I were you go anything like 2 or more transistors, I would go water. I'm just, because it just looks cool as hell. It's like veins, pump. I like this. This is an easy kit to work with. I almost can build it by looking at it. But
this is the part that I love. This, that he actually bothered to put a low pass circuit on the pallet.
Yep.
And nobody else in the market other than you doing that. No.
Yeah, and I didn't even think it was a low pass when I did it. All I did was come out of the output and then run a coil in series. I guess that is what it was. But I started doing it with the with some of the that was before Ldmos with some 600. What were they?
300 volt.
300. No, not the 300 volt.
Wasn't the AR?
It was a 50 volt VRF 2933. I think that's what it's called. And that's when I started doing that. I just float them in the air though. I didn't even put them down on the board. I didn't have no board left, no real estate. But this is nice. This is like straight up easy to get together, easy to put together. Somebody's gonna get a few more watts than Sharky, and then they're gonna call him on the phone. It's like, dude, I'll give you a secret for $500 and a free board. A guy named Anthony might do that.
Look at the via pass-throughs and stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't that pretty? I mean, that's beautiful artwork they did on that.
Yep. Yeah, I use a lot of vias on my boards. I don't know how Sharky's designing his. I do mine in EagleCAD, but this looks good. This looks good. This looks really nice, man. And straightforward. Nothing. See, I do stuff on my boards that's just dumb shit. Like, I just do it because I can. Like, you know what? Like when I measure my heat, everybody looks at my board and laughs. Like, why did you do this, right? So I measure my heat here. Then I have a little pad right here. And then it goes underneath, through the via, passes to the back, comes back up, and goes to the screen. Totally unnecessary shit. But, that's just so somebody could have something to talk about. It's like little conversation pieces. Doesn't make the box do any more watts. Or maybe it does. Who knows? Nice, though. This is nice stuff, man. And it's simple, straightforward. It's like, you know what it looks like packed like this? Like it's something illegal. This looks like weed.
Yeah, for RF junkies.
Yeah, this is just dope. Dope, and I don't mean dope like nice. I mean dope like this should be illegal. Actually, it is. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
This is absolutely what we're doing right here, right now today is legal.
Constructed box built for 28 megahertz. When it's done.
Sure. Anyhow, I'll go commit the felonies in another place another time. But the thing is I wanted to get your reaction. These heat sinks, when he showed me these, I was like,
now here's one thing that
damn, man. Yeah, the little details. Like I was like, dude, you don't even need to bother to put the foam underneath the legs. He's like, I'll feel better about it. I'll be able to sleep tonight.
This
ethics, man.
This is, yeah, you know what? So I solder mine down. I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like a little rough compared to this. Look at that. Look at that. You can't even tell that's... Can you even tell that's soldered down? You can barely see it. If I show you one of mine, you'd be like, yeah, you could definitely see mine. Boy, that looks good.
Dude, he literally pulls out this tub of solder paste. It's like this big around, right? Takes his tool, gets in there, just lays this perfect layer of solder paste down on the part, sets the thing down, takes his torch, puts it up underneath. He's got two little stands underneath it. Heats it up, and he just sits there and he's staring at it, pulls the torch away, done. If you, I didn't want him to solder the part down because I wanted to show the machining grooves that are in here.
Yeah.
You know how we were doing holes to hold thread down? He thought of it another way. He went in here and cut grooves,
so it's set into
so the part sits there and it can't float around or move or nothing.
Yeah, mine.
Like, damn, man.
What BBI is talking about is on mine. I'll thread the copper on both sides, and I put a long screw in. I don't screw it all the way through, right? Just to hold it in place. And I don't use paste. I actually use .032 solder, and I bend it in a U, like that, just right in the middle of the transistor, and then it kind of flows out to the legs. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Not as clean as this though. But this is nice. This is real nice.
I was drilling out my spreaders and putting screws to hold the transistor down to physically apply pressure instead of just putting a weight on top of the transistor.
I didn't even use weight. I just used the screw way up here.
Right.
And then what happens is the solder, as it melts, and you can see the transistor,
right.
And then it kind of settles in. And either way,
all he does is he puts it up on a stand, puts a weight on top of this, heats the plate, and because it's machined to match the bottom of the transistor, that there's an inlay at the groove.
Yeah.
It just sits down. I was like, man, it's way easier than what I was doing. I mean, way easier than what I was doing.
Yeah, this is interesting, man. This is really, really interesting.
The only thing I thought was kind of odd is if it was me, I would have used a little bit longer spreader, and that would just be to mentally in my head help support the board. But then look at what he did on the bottom side of this. Why do you think all this is cut out?
I have no idea.
So when you do all the solder work on the bottom and all the pass-throughs, there's no place for it to make contact.
Yep, can't make no contact, can't short it out. Which means he probably shorted it out before. And let me say this before we get out of here. You guys that book top technicians, I'm not a technician, I always say that, I'm not a technician.
Same here.
Loosely used term, we use it way too much. You guys that read books and then build literally by the book, you truly don't know that amplifier till you blow one. I don't care what anybody says, when you start blowing them, that's when a guy can get on the phone with you and go, what happened? Well, I blew this up. Oh man, check the left leg of that transformer, man. Take the two capacitors out of one diode, flip it around, blah, 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 you're done. I mean, why do they know that? Because what I'm leading to is that what Sharky did that I really like, and I'm serious now, I joke around a lot, I'm serious. He showed you his growing pains. So while he was creating this masterpiece, every time he popped, he showed it. Every time he put it back together and got a few more watts, he showed it. Every time he put something together and it didn't work out, he showed it. Those guys can build amplifiers. Guys that just saw a perfect one and copied it, no, can't do it. I got some blown up pallets outside that literally look like Godzilla blew torches on them. I'm serious, bad, but I got it down packed now. This is nice. You guys buy this, you can't go wrong with it. That's just my opinion, you know, and we're not, I don't do this to make money, so I don't give a shit. I just want to see the guy make some bread off of this because this is nice. This is something that somebody else should have thought of, myself. You know what I mean? And
myself.
Whoever that guy, myself, that didn't do it should be slapped in the fucking face.
Myself.
All right, y'all. Hey, the chosen one, the savior. I know you got your sandals on and your white robe, man. And you floating down the street because you're doing these. Keep doing your thing, Sharky. You know who it is. Gone. Got some nice shit there, by the way.
I hate to break it to you.
Don't tell me you weren't recording.
I hate to break it to you. He looks just like fucking Jesus.
Oh, he does.
I do long hair, goatee, scraggly beard, just like white Jesus and all the freaking books of the Bible. He come up and meet me, just kind of come floating across the ground.
Yeah. Pretty cool, man. These aren't soldered. Interesting.
As you can clearly see, the workbench is still in pieces. I haven't put any of my slugs back. I just unpacked my screwdrivers again. I'm not even too sure why I packed up all my tools this second go around, but I'm home, you guys. This is the end of a 14 or 15 day long road saga. I came home, was home for one day, and then turned around and drug myself back up to Seattle. So a new Suburban has done me well. My louder than your mom last night tag, yeah. And then I'm comfortable. It says right there, I'm comfortable. And then on this side it says with violence, because I am not scared. I don't want to put those in my hands for a couple days. I'm here to tell you. Yeah. This is what I spent 4 days to run around in a circle with. So I got to tell you, it's going to be a couple days before I can sit down and I can actually get to where I can work with this. I've got a couple other things that I need to work on first. But I'm telling you, this is the future. And he is leading the way. By far, hands down. Do I have enough energy or time to develop this the way he did? No, I don't. I don't. This is the most professional kit that money can buy at the moment. And like I said in the video, and I said to him, I will get behind whatever I can to get whatever I can to get done for whatever I can for anybody, as long as it's coming from a good place. And I'm seeing it. This guy, he's got a good heart on him, and he's motivated for the right reasons. So I'm going to wrap this little hunk of video up. This is just a beginning segue. This was the interview with him. And when I come back to this, we'll have the whole workbench put back together, and I'll have cleaned everything, because when I take it all apart to go on a trip, when I come home, I like to clean everything and make sure everything's good to go for the next couple days, so I can trash it all out again as I'm working on your guys' stuff. The other thing I noticed is I'm down to about 1.5 pounds of solder. So I've got to wait for some solder to show up for me to really start slinging lead again, but it's okay, it's coming. I bought 45 pounds of it the other day, so it should be here any day. I haven't checked that tracking, but there's more on this to come. This is the most professionally assembled kit I've been exposed to yet, and I can't wait to build it for you guys and show you what the test results are. Oh, here, hold on. Let me hold on, let me grab something out of the truck. So I went to my teacher's house, obviously everybody knows this. We were standing out in his shop, and I'm looking at the 5 or 6 different projects he's got going on right now, which are all progressing along smoothly. I couldn't help but notice this cabinet. I was exposed to this cabinet. He's had these cabinets forever, and they were designed for a completely different device. He for a limited time was making this other part, and it was a Ldmos transistor, but it was named after him. This is the floor pan for it. I think this is going to be kind of cool to seg all this together. He had a bunch of cabinets punched down, and I didn't want to do this just in another chrome bread box. You know, I'm over that. Here's the top plate, which I'm going to have to clean up a little bit. Here's the bottom plate. Here's the back. So it sits like this. This is your output vent. This is all very nicely silk screened, by the way. But this is your air intake. I'm excited. This is gonna be cool. I'm gonna build this pallet completed. We're gonna put it in a skullcracker cabinet, and so it's gonna be a Sharky pallet, BBI built, and a skullcracker enclosure. That's gonna be fun. It's a cool, fun way to tie them all together. I think that this is gonna turn out tits, and I had to grab one of these while I was there. He's got a bunch of these, but he's not building with these anymore. I mean, he could if he wanted to, if somebody wanted to. This was a little 2-pill 50-volt thing that he was working on, oh shoot, many moons ago. 4 or 5 or 6 years ago, he was building these. And these were really innovative. This is where I got the idea for the 50-volt bipolars. So was from him. Got the idea, as in like, seen one operating there. I came home and figured out how to make it work myself. So all the 50 volt bipolar transistor amplifiers I have out there floating around in the world, they all come from, well, of course, that guy. All right, enough secrets, enough little fun stuff revealed. Guys, I got a ton of videos that I'm going to sit down and try to work on the next couple days. I've got a 10 pill amp I need to finish, and I've got a giant power supply I've got to work on. So be patient. Cool stuff is coming. We'll circle back to that in about a week or two, and we're going to have some more fun stuff for everybody to look at. Gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Go check out MudDuckSharky on his YouTube channel. I'll put the link in the description below, and then somewhere in here I think I'll throw the actual YouTube URL for you to be able to find him. Or you can just go to YouTube and type in MudDuckSharky, and you'll find him with a Google search. It's amazing. Keep an eye on this guy. He is making moves. Keep an eye on the Skullcracker channel. He's got a ton of cool content getting ready to come up. I mean, a ton. Believe me, what I tell you, I have seen it all. Now, where it's going and some of these things, where they're going, hey, I'm not dogging on it in any way. I'm looking forward to where they're going and how they're going to get used and how it's going to change the airwaves in the Northwest. I think it's great. One more big station. In the same breath, I'm not going to be my mom myself out here in Idaho no more. And I think it's good. It's going to help me motivate to get my antenna changed around so it's a whole lot more efficient and I can get a couple more dBs out of it. And I think it's going to be good. So, gentlemen, like I said, thank you for tuning in. More fun stuff is coming. Believe me when I say that.